I wanted to make a video going over some of the key points that I think should be in place in order for you to have a successful Google Ads experience. This goes for businesses and marketers. So if you fall into either of those categories, go ahead and follow along and make sure you got these points active in your accounts. If you disagree with anything that I'm saying, throw it in the comments. I'm open to criticism. So let's jump into that. I want to preface this by saying that these are some of the points that I've come across because I've worked in many accounts at this point, and at my job, I've audited some accounts for when we have potential new clients coming in. And so then they would share read-only access to their account. And so then I would jump in and I'd kind of just go through their campaigns and just kind of make sure things are in place that should be in place. Or if they aren't, I make note of it and I'm like, hey, here's what you need to have done. And same goes for website stuff. It's not always just about the ads. Sometimes where you're losing leads and burning money is actually on your website. And so that's kind of the reason I wanted to make this, is because I think a lot of people fall into two categories. You either fail to have things in place that you should in order to have a really good Google Ads experience, or either your ad or your website experience kind of blows it for your potential customers. And so that's the thing I want to clear up with this video. All right. So number one is, do you know your numbers? Too often you find business owners or marketers, and they're going into accounts and they're running campaigns, but they don't know what is actually profitable for the business. And I'm guilty of that as well. There's been times I've ran accounts and things look positive. And then once I connect with the business owner, they're just like, yeah, we're selling a lot, but it's still like costing us pretty evenly and we're not making money. And so that is why it's so important to know the numbers behind this. And for that, I got a little example right here for you. And I just chose HVAC just as an example. I work with one HVAC business. And so I just figure, you know what, let's go ahead and just throw something like that up here. Knowing your numbers is super important. So this is just a very simple look at how that works. And if you're a business or a marketer, you can do this your own way. There's no specific tool that you have to have. It's honestly something that you can do on paper. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to go and pay for some subscription. That's not necessary. What you do need to know is how much are you profiting per sale, what your close rate is, and what you're paying per lead. Because then you can see here, like, this is just the example of if you were spending $1,000 on Google Ads and it brought in 13 leads, and then with that 20% close rate that we put right here, you're getting 3 sales, which to some people that might be great. But because of how much you're making per sale and your cost per lead, you're actually losing money at that point. And so in that case, it's not worth it for you, which may kind of highlight some underlying issues that you're not aware of, like whether or not your margins are just not good enough. And that's not to say you can't change that. You can absolutely test out different pricing structures to see what brings in more people, or just different incentives. But this is just something to kind of play around with and make sure that everything that you're doing inside your Google Ads account remains profitable for the business in the end. And so you can see here, like, if you did change your margins, like let's just take it up to $500, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, you're profitable. And so it's that simple. You just got to make sure that in the end, it still makes sense for the business. Number two that I want to hit on is, can your business handle the influx? I know it's kind of an odd concept to think of, but take what your business is doing right now. And again, we'll just use HVAC for an example. Say, for instance, today you had one business inquiry. One person called your business and was like, hey, could you come out and check this out? And you're like, sure. Would you be able to handle it if tomorrow you actually got 10 website form fills and 15 phone calls? Is that something your business could handle? If not, you need to have systems in place, whether that's a receptionist or an AI bot to help answer those calls and to get those lead forms into some sort of system for you, a CRM. Whatever it is, you just need to make sure that you have some sort of way to fulfill your needs. And on that note, if you are all of a sudden hitting kind of a limit of how many people you can serve, you can always turn down budget. So that is one factor to consider. But I have worked on an account where, I think it was within 3 months, I think. But after a few months of doing Google Ads, and we were also doing SEO work, they ended up messaging us and being like, hey, we need to pause ads, and we need to focus on hiring more help. And it was like, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. So that is just another thing to keep in mind is, can your business handle the work? Number three is if anyone is actually searching for your services. So Google is a demand capture. So people turn to Google or Bing or any search platform with an actual problem they are currently having, and they're searching for the solution in that moment. Now, the big thing you need to know is, what are they searching for? And so that's where something like the keyword planner comes in that you have through Google Ads. Now, sometimes when you go in there, and depending on your services and your location, you may find that there's just not that much search traffic. And so then that becomes kind of a meta situation where you would want to use meta ads to generate some demand. And I'll go ahead and make a meta ads video another time, but for now, let's focus on Google Ads. And so I want to show you inside of the keyword planner real quick. This is the keyword planner. Inside of Google Ads, if you have an account, and having an account is free, so you can just sign up and get one. And then you can access the keyword planner. And so then you can come in here. It's just under Tools, Planning, and Keyword Planner. So it's very simple navigation. And then you want to come over here, and what you want to do first is go ahead and select a location. I just have down here Charlotte, North Carolina. And then you want to start typing in some of your services, or just in general what your business solves. And so again, like I mentioned before, for whatever reason, I'm using HVAC. And so we'll go ahead and type in HVAC, not HVAC, HVAC. There you go. And let's go ahead and add in a few more. So let's do air duct cleaning, air system installation. There we go. All right. So we got some words in there. Let's just see what that gets us. All right, sweet. And so you can see here that it lists out some of those top keywords. We can go ahead and just refilter like that. And this is for in this specific search area. So again, Charlotte, North Carolina, and for HVAC, air duct cleaning, air system installation, those are the keywords I typed in. And so you can see that these are the average monthly searches coming in. And so this is a very good tool to refer to when you're trying to get some Google ads up and going for your business. This can really help determine whether or not you want to focus on all your services or if there's one service in particular that people are actually searching for. So, like I said before, it's free to use. Go use it. Number 4 is, can your landing page convert? Many people, they will create great ads. Your ads can be phenomenal. You'll have great headlines, great descriptions, good keywords, a really nice amount of negative keywords, and your location targeting can be on point. But once people make it to the website, then all of a sudden you're losing your traffic. Now, that is why you need to make sure you got a good landing page to convert people once they get there. Here is a little example I made up real quick. It's not any business in particular, but it is, again, just kind of on point with heating and air. Maybe it's because of the hot summer. Maybe that's why it's on my mind. But as you can see, here's kind of an original homepage. A lot of businesses have outdated websites. Once they create them, you kind of just let it sit and you don't think about it ever again. That is why oftentimes they just kind of, like, at first glance, you might look at this and be like, oh, that looks nice. It does look nice. Aesthetically, it's okay. But the issue is you want to compare it against the people clicking on this ad. So this is just the example ad that I got listed, and it just has a few specific call outs. Once they make it to the website, there is nothing comparable between what they clicked on in the ad and what is on the landing page. So that is something you need to fix. And so, as an example, here is a new landing page. And again, 24/7 emergency AC repair, $79 diagnostic. Here you go. First thing they see on the website, that 24/7 emergency service, and then also that price being called out again. And then a much more bold way for them to call you or book with you. So it's simple things like that where you just create some sort of bridge between what they saw in the ad and what they're seeing on your landing page. Next point, which I believe is number 5, is making sure your tracking is set up and functioning. Again, this is something that many businesses go into advertising with and they don't have tracking set up. That's fine if you're a smaller operation and you're not like reporting to anyone, or that data is not necessarily needed. I hesitate actually saying fine, because in most cases, I'd say like 90%, tracking and attribution is actually, you know what? No, it's 100% needed. Tracking and attribution is needed, because if you don't know that your new customers are coming from your Google ads, then down the road, you might be like, well, it's not worth it to me. And then you turn it off and all of a sudden you're like, why are all my customers gone? So tracking and attribution, heavily necessary. And that can be something through Google Tag Manager, which I'll probably make a video in the future on how to set that up. Or if you're doing meta ads, that could be through your Pixel. And so you just want to make sure that you have tracking set in place and it is actually firing a conversion inside of your ads account. And then also Google Analytics, making sure that you got events set up in there. That way you can refer to historical data and kind of see like what kind of trends are happening. Do you have enough of a budget to get through the learning phase and to really optimize your account? I've mentioned it in previous videos that I've worked on an account that, like, uh, during certain months, it would spend as low as like $150, and they got results. But that wasn't like right from the start. And also, their industry was actually a fairly cheap one when it comes to cost per click and cost per lead. So it's not the same for everyone. So if you're an HVAC company, I would strongly discourage you from starting at 150. You would probably want to start closer to 1,000 and then up. So every industry is different, but you just need to make sure that you're willing to put in the money to get this up and running. It's not something where from the moment you turn it on, it's going to work. You're going to need time, you're going to need the money, and you're going to need a commitment to actually get it moving forward. So don't go into it thinking, I can spare maybe $100 this month. Think about it in terms of 6 months. Are you going to be able to commit a certain budget towards Google Ads for 6 months? That is the best advice I could give to you when thinking about this. Number 7 is trusting data over impulse. A lot of people act on impulse. They get emotional very quickly if like all of a sudden spam leads are coming in, or if all of a sudden Google charged you too much one day versus another, or inside of Google Ads recommendation tab, they might see something like apply broad match or something like that. Applying these optimizations without first thinking about it and really looking into what the impact can be could really damage your account. So do not just impulsively come in here and be like, oh, it says it could really help out my optimization score or lead towards more conversions or lower my cost per conversion. Yeah, I'm going to hit apply. Don't do that. That is oftentimes why so many people have a really just messy account. Auto applied recommendations oftentimes lead to some pretty bad decisions, and you end up showing up, your ads show up for very random searches, which you can see inside of your search terms report. So go into your search terms report, and if you're seeing that you're showing up for things that are really random, go and revisit your keywords, because more than likely you got broad match or you need some more negative terms put in place. So that would be my strong recommendation for this one, is don't act on impulse. Really just trust the data coming in. What happens to a lead after it comes in? So if you're a product sales business, this doesn't necessarily concern you as much. You still want to make sure that there's fulfillment happening. But this is more common with businesses that are in the service industries, and you're more focused on getting leads coming in. So phone calls and lead forms. Are people getting responded to in a timely manner? If a customer is reaching out to you and they need your services now, if you're not contacting them within a couple, like I'd say within an hour, then they're probably on to the next guy. So you need to make sure you have a system in place that will help you address everyone's needs in a timely manner, and it helps keep you organized. So that's where just making sure in the back end of your website, you have a way of accessing all of your lead forms, or if it's a CRM, or again, like I said, if you got a receptionist or someone, just some fashion of making sure that everyone is addressed and it happens in a timely manner. The last point I want to make sure I share with you is, whose responsibility is it? Is it yours? Is it a partner? Is it someone else in the office? Or are you hiring an agency? And if so, who are they being held accountable to? So you don't want to just hire an agency and just let them take your money for months and months at a time. You want to make sure that there is a regular correspondence between you and them. You want some sort of reporting. And so again, if it is you yourself, but you're also the business owner, just know that this isn't something that you set up and let it run forever and ever. You need to be checking into your account. You need to be making optimizations. You need to update content, making sure that it's seasonally relevant, or if your offers are changing, you don't want to be running with old prices. That is one of the fastest ways to really make customers angry. So just make sure that whoever's responsibility it is to be managing this account, there needs to be some sort of responsibility over it and a time commitment set in stone. So that is the last point I wanted to share. So just to recap, again, I've seen many of these in a lot of accounts spanning different industries, and these aren't things that you can't come back from. So if you've already started a Google Ads account and I just listed something that you don't have set in place, it's not something to panic and be like, oh, my ads are crap. That's not how it is. You can always work on each of these points that I listed out.